Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Troilus and Cressida, and we get to hear from Troilus today in Act 2, Scene 2. So quick recap of the stuff that's going on. We're in the middle of the Trojan War, or at least about 7 years into it. The Greeks have sort of devolved into lots of infighting, and nobody wants to pay attention to anybody else, and they're making fun of their commanders and all this sort of thing. The Trojans, it's like this Troilus and Cressida like each other but don't want to admit it to each other sort of thing going on right now. And also the Trojan prince Hector has issued a challenge to whatever Greek wants to take him up on it, that he'll fight whoever. And the Greeks have decided that they're going to choose their champion by lottery, and they're going to rig it so that Ajax wins, even though Achilles is technically the better soldier, because they don't want to lose their best soldier / commander on the first try, or at least risk losing that. And they also figure that if Ajax goes out and wins, that'll knock Achilles down a notch or two in terms of his own overwhelming sense of self-worth. So in Act 2, Scene 2, we're back in the Trojan camp, and we've got Hector and Priam and Troilus and Helenus and all these other people sort of hanging around, and they're debating whether or not they should give Helen back to the Greeks, because that's what the whole Trojan War is about. And Nestor has recently sent another note saying, if you just give her back, then we can call this an end. And Hector in yesterday's monologue was like, we should give her back. Like, she is not worth all of the lives that have been lost so far by our men. She's not one of ours. We should just give her back. And Troilus is like, no, we can't possibly give her back. And Helenus is like, what's your reasoning for that? You know, you're talking about the reason behind things, and your logic has no reasons. What's your reasoning for not wanting to give Helen back to the Greeks? And Troilus says, you are for dreams and slumbers, brother priest. You fur your gloves with reason. Here are your reasons. You know an enemy intends you harm. You know a sword employed is perilous, and reason flies the object of all harm. Who marvels then when Helenus beholds a Grecian and his sword, if he do set the very wings of reason to his heels, or like a star disorbed? Nay, if we talk of reason and fly like chidden Mercury from Jove, let's shut our gates and sleep. Manhood and honor should have hard hearts, would they but fat their thoughts with his crammed reason. Reason and respect make livers pale and lustihood deject. So basically his reasoning here is that reason doesn't make any sense. He's like, you basically know two things. There's an enemy army outside, and they have swords which can cause harm. So reason would tell you to run away from that situation. But if you / we, the Trojans, run away from that harm, what does that say about us? That shows us all to be cowards and weak, and all of the, who's to prevent anybody from doing even worse to us the next time around if we don't stay and show our strength. So we can't go by reason in the case of war because it doesn't make sense. And Helenus is like, you don't make any sense. And Troilus is like, no, but I totally do, and we can't give her back. And he's not quite done trying to explain why Helen needs to stay in Troy as opposed to going back to the Greeks. So we're going to get another monologue from Troilus about that tomorrow. I'll see you then. Mwah.